All right, so welcome to the August 2022 Boulder Police Oversight Panel meeting. And the wonderful people of the panel who are here today. I don't believe we have any members of the public online right now or the press. But if they go on, we will direct them to use the Q&A function throughout the meeting. And if either Daniel or I get distracted during the meeting at any point, if one of you guys, if we have anyone jump on, can make sure to watch the Q&A box would be great. I will start with reading of our land acknowledgement. We acknowledge the Arapaho, Ute, and Cheyenne tribes, the traditional custodians of the land on which the Police Oversight Panel and Boulder Police Department operate, and pay our respects to their elders past and present. In terms of our agenda for this evening, we will start with approval of the last month's meeting, committee reports, panel retreat feedback and takeaways, the August 25th viewing of the documentary film This Is Not Who We Are, NACOL conference, deciding on who will be going from the panel member application and selection process, monitor's report. Joey, I'll let you do all the subparts of the monitor's report, panel selection of cases to review, and public comment. So first of all, we need to vote on approving the July 2022 meetings notes. Has everyone had a chance to review the minutes? And great. So can I have a vote to approve of July 2022 meeting notes? Show of hands.
I second. Do we need to say it or do we just talk
Yeah, do we need to do it? I don't know. Can we just do it? I have no idea.
I think we can just do it in accordance with our bylaws. We didn't make any parliamentary. Yeah.
I don't need a motion. Okay, great.
I think, yeah, you could just call for a vote and then we go. And I think we can do that just about on anything.
Oh, I love that. Okay, well, that makes things easier. Okay. Sorry, Bogey's here too, of course.
Sounds like he's in favor of it too.
Yeah, I
really agrees with July. All right, show of hands.
Here's Chico.
Okay, so we're good to go. Thanks, Sarah. Meeting notes are approved. And so we will go into committee reports. I'm going to start actually with governance, Hadassah, sorry. And then I will let Taisha know to join us.
Okay, so we mainly just went over first last month's meetings, and then we're kind of working through just preliminary drafts still of a couple of items that have been brought forward to governance. So specifically 2.4 of the bylaws, which is orientation and training, 4.1F, which is complaint procedures for the, like, if somebody has a complaint regarding a panelist. 5.1, which is communications process, external communications from the panel to whoever that may be. And then also 3.1D, which is our regular monthly meeting procedures, a standard boilerplate template for our agendas, procedure for requesting items to be added to the agenda, and then also a procedure for commenting during public meetings. And then our timeliness for case reviews in terms of how quickly we're committing to getting the case reviews being done. That's section 4.2C. And then finally 3.2, which is other meetings. We're still working through the guiding principles. Our hope is to plan a meeting for everyone to come together and kind of work through some of those, some of that language. And then we didn't have any, we did have a member of the public, but there was no public comment. We are down to 2 members at this point. So if there is anyone that is interested in joining governance, let us know, or otherwise we can also, you know, we're hopefully getting new people. So that we'll see which ones they want to join. So that's where we are.
Also on that, Hadassah, I just wanted to note, even though I am not coming to meetings any longer, just because of also trying to focus on recruitment, that if you and Martha have things that you need help on with review, right? Whether that's writing something, drafting something, or just editing, still more than happy to be a resource for that. I would say just give me a little bit more lead time.
Sure.
But definitely like in the interim period, well, I know because you guys are the committee that's down, so definitely feel free to still use me as a resource. I don't want it to feel like you're totally left on your own.
Sure. Sure. I appreciate that. Thank you.
So let's go to legacy. I haven't heard back from Taisha yet.
With legacy, we have met, we kind of got a more solid plan together about the data we wanted to pull, and then Joey went to the data person and we got a data dump today. I've not looked at it, but it does exist, so yay. I'm hoping to be able to review it and churn out a little something, but I think we're going to be just like unpacking it at the next meeting, which I have down as the 25th. Is that what everybody has? Okay, yeah, as the 25th. And we did talk about maybe starting to invite maybe like past task force members to those meetings, just to get some more perspective and really hone in on some of those critical features that would build a legacy. So that was pretty neat. But that's all we have so far.
I could give some quick highlights on the data if you want me to do that from that email that I sent y'all, but we don't have to get into that if you're not ready to go into that. But
No, I'm excited to hear about it.
Okay.
When I saw it arrive, I was like, oh yay, but I had some
Yeah.
stuff.
It's always exciting when you get the data in that you've been waiting for. Give me just a second. I'll pull that email up. So the data we received is from, it covers January 2022 through mid-July 2022. So the most of the year that has occurred so far. There were total of exactly 100 individuals contacted, 100 juveniles contacted during that period, which makes it very convenient for data calculations to have a nice round number like that. And a juvenile is considered anyone under 18 years old at this point. So out of those 100 individuals contacted, there were 7 arrests. Everything else were citations. Of those arrests, 3 of them were for warrants, 4 of them were based on probable cause that was observed by the officer. So that's essentially a 7% arrest rate. And the rest were citations, generally for traffic violations. The demographics, 72% male, 28% female, approximately 52% white, 48% Latinx, with 1 Black male in this population. The 7 people arrested were white and Latinx, mostly male, 1 was female. And there were no uses of force that occurred in any of these 100 incidents in this year, in January 2022 to July 2022. So that's essentially what I could pull out very quickly today, just from the spreadsheet. The committee will continue reviewing it and thinking about it, and thinking, sort of try to understand what the best way to go about the rest of this review or this study would be. So, but I'm excited we got the data. Sorry, I didn't mean to talk so long there. Just wanted to let y'all know that we got some interesting stuff.
So one of the things that I would want us to see is, because we just got a snapshot for a year, so part of our role and legacy where it comes in, we got to look at trends. I would want to see how far this goes in terms of the data. How many years can we get so that we build a story? Then we can make comparison, what's going on. Just 1 year, it's a good start, but
Right.
I think we need
Was that
more.
6 months?
What's that, Martha?
It was 6 months.
It's six, yeah, six, I guess 6.5 months, yeah.
Hmm.
And yeah, that's usually exactly what we do, Chico. We start with a small little taste of the data like this to kind of get a sense of it, and then figure out what your deeper questions are, and then do a larger data sample to see that exact trend that you're talking about. So I think that's exactly the plan.
Okay, so I haven't heard back from Taisha, so I'm gonna have us move on. If I do, are you guys okay if we come back to her for a brief update later in the meeting? Just that might have to be if we hear from her, and if not, we can ask her just to do a email summary of what's been going on. But next on the agenda is panel retreat feedback and takeaways. I will just say there is supposed to be a survey from me that hasn't happened with my move and starting a new job, and I'm really sorry. I'm not going to promise when it'll happen. It will happen, hopefully sometime this month, but I can't say for sure next week. But know that it's coming. But I think this is also a great space for us to just kind of share what we thought and felt and how it went and all of that. And thanks for your patience with me also.
I mean, I could say I thought it went really well. I literally look forward to be in person with everybody soon. I think that was really good, and we had the most substantive conversations I think we've ever had. And I think a lot of that had to do just being in person, sharing food and space, and a lot of laughter together. Thank you for everyone's good humor.
I agree. I thought it just felt really, really good to be face to face and to be in the same room. And I think in some ways too, it sounds kind of silly, but being in the municipal building and being in a place of not only of power, but where changes happen on a city level, community-wide level, like it felt like it held some impact, and it gave me a recognition of how important what we're doing is, and not to get caught up fully just sometimes in the kind of lost in the weeds, right, of the frustrating stuff. That held some weight to me. Sarah, you can go ahead. And Martha also, I wanted to talk, so.
Just that I think that it was a pretty clear signal that we should start seriously discussing meeting in person for our monthly meetings.
And that's something I can say we're waiting for the cue from city council. So once they go back in person, then the rest of panels and boards. And so, yeah, we're Ariel, Joey, and I are watching closely, because as soon as that happens, yeah, I think we should move to hybrid for our monthly meetings, at least our monthly meetings. Yeah.
Yeah, I really enjoyed it, and I feel like we accomplished more in person, if that makes sense. Because it was just a quicker experience and interaction, and there was more content to the discussion. So I definitely appreciate in person more than, not that this is horrible, but I did, it is my preference now.
Any constructive criticism or things that you would like to see next time that you didn't get to see? All right, so it's utterly perfect in every single way. Got it. That's what happens with an event planned by Ariel Amaru. Just kidding. Now I'm gonna start being a party planner.
I think that's a great idea. I think my only thing that could have been better was really only like me. Like I should have been like, oh, we could have used some time for governance to like go through guiding principles or whatever, you know, like that was it didn't hit me until it was too late. So that was, you know.
No, I
just-
think you're totally right that the session that Taisha and Victor did was great. And if we have committees take advantage of, and we have big chunks of time like that for workshopping together, I think it'll be great going forward. I agree.
Yeah, I look forward to it more in the future.
Mhm.
Yeah, I think that's a good takeaway too, though, is even if we don't do like a full retreat, like when you were just talking about the guiding principles, like maybe that is something we should get do in an in-person meeting to do that, what you were talking about in your committee report, Hadassah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I
Not
can-
to put that on you, like Dasa, put this together, but like, yeah,
Do
it's
it.
like to take that away is like when we want to work together is to start to set up those sessions.
Yeah.
And certainly we'll get the retreat scheduled earlier, hopefully for next year as well. Now that we know it's something we want to do, that way we can really be planning ahead. Yeah.
Yeah, and Hadassah, if you need a room or if you want to help hold a meeting in person like that, just let me know. We can arrange the room, and I can order food for that too.
Okay.
It could be like a little, I don't want to say mini retreat, but we can have some of the extras that we had at the retreat for something like that as well.
Sure.
I also just wanted to say it was really fun to be kind of watching y'all, even though I was participating in the retreat with y'all, to kind of be watching from the outside in a way too, and kind of observe y'all, seeing y'all beginning to like really gel together and getting comfortable with each other. And it really gave me a lot of confidence in the process going forward. And so it was really nice to see all of you coming together around this work like that. So thank y'all for that.
Awesome.
I was only gonna add that like the only thing that could have like, I don't know, I felt like a team shirt or something. I know that's corny, but like I felt like, oh wait, where's our thing?
No, that's
Yeah,
totally something
we've
I
talked
wanted
about
to do
it,
when
yeah.
we first started.
Yeah.
Particularly as you all start doing outreach events, we could definitely get y'all some little polo shirts or t-shirts or hoodies or
Not a
whatever.
polo.
Not
No.
polo, sorry. What was I?
Hey, I look good in a polo, okay? I'm okay with the polo.
Looks good in a polo, but like it's too.
This is true.
And we could probably
You know.
do a variety of different things. People who want a polo shirt, people who
A
want a
full
little jacket
wardrobe.
or a hoodie or
Wait,
something.
Joey, what about a water bottle? I really want a panel water.
I think we can make that happen, Ariel.
A formal gown. Can we do that?
I think a police oversight water bottle would be some cool swag. And I also would be great to welcome new people on with. Like
Right.
it'd be great, like, hey, welcome to the team.
You get
So-
a bottle of pop.
I'd also like to see us develop something like that we could hand out to people, like a refrigerator magnet or something where contact information, how to file a
Yeah.
complaint,
Love that.
always be there for them. I've also in the past, I've thought about at the time when those little rubber wristbands were popular, I thought about making some of those with like the phone number or the website on how to file a complaint to give out to people. That fad has kind of passed. That's no longer cool, but
Thanks, Lance Armstrong.
Well, but to that point, Joey, not to go off on too far of a tangent, but does the city provide like an emergency services magnet? Like, I feel like, at least when I lived in
good
Arvada,
question. I don't know.
like, I
Wouldn't be
remember my
surprised.
parents had like an emergency services magnet that was on the fridge for years and years. And if Boulder already does that, if we could just get added on there, maybe.
Yeah. I'll ask about that. They may very well have something like that already.
In which case, then we could hand that out as well, as because then I think more people would take it as well. Yeah.
Yeah, but any ideas y'all have for little things like that you'd like to use as outreach items or for the new panel members coming in, let's make a list and let me start looking into what the options are. And the city orders stuff like that for other sort of events and boards and stuff, so won't be a problem.
Oh my gosh, the symbolism of a hoodie with the oversight committee on it, that I want in on that.
Love it. Perfect. Well, anything else or can we move on? Good, great. So next is the August 25th viewing of This Is Not Who We Are at Chautauqua. I wish Taisha was here to talk about this too, just because she has a connection to the director. So this is a movie about being Black in Boulder. including historical perspective, made by a local Black filmmaker, and it is being screened at Chautauqua Dining Hall, which has some contentious racial history, and so they're putting on this event and hosting it, screening the film, and then there is a talk back after the film. I've seen it, and it mentions the start and origins of the police oversight panel, so the task force is in it. I thought it was a really powerful film, and Joey has determined with the city that we can get free tickets for any panel member who'd like to see the movie on that day. So do any of you guys know right now if that's something you'd like to? Because we probably should make moves on that.
Yeah, I'd like to, yeah, me.
I've seen it twice, but I would go just to see the talk back because those are awesome.
Yeah.
It's Katrina Miller is the director's name.
Thanks, Martha. Yes.
What time is that gonna be?
We have it somewhere. We can look really quickly.
I think it was in the evening, but I don't remember the
It
exact
is
time.
evening, I know. It's not who we are. Here we go. 7 o'clock.
25th.
Doors open at 6:30, show is at 7.
We can always reschedule the legacy review committee that's scheduled on that day, so that we can attend if you want.
Yeah.
So far, it looks like Daniel, Hadassah, Chico, do you want a ticket as well?
Yeah, I can come along.
Great. And then Joey, maybe we can just send out an email and ask to make sure Taisha and Victor also, if they want them. I think this will also be great because Taisha is working on setting up a separate film screening with Katrina, which would be a panel member featured as one of the talkback participants at a different screening later in the year. So I think us going and showing that we have interest in this film, and participating and supporting its efforts of promotion too will bode well for us later on down the line. And also, I think it's just a great outreach event. I think the event at Chautauqua will be really largely attended, and so that having a panel presence there will be a good thing for us ultimately. So
Yeah, I think even if it's just a passive outreach, and
mhm.
not and to use and not to that's kind of a negative word, passive, but something of, we don't our community outreach doesn't necessarily, I think, have to be really structured, like goal oriented, like we're going here to hand out brochures and to ask questions. It's like, I think just being present at this kind of a cultural community event, I think is just kind of a big deal to be that presence. It reminds me of like when the regions just like show up to concerts on campus, or the city council shows up to a dairy center event, and they're not there with an agenda. They're there just to be members of the community and to so I think it's really valuable. And yeah, I wish Taisha was here, but I really appreciate her reaching out and getting this going. Yeah.
Agreed. Okay, great. Next up is the NACOL conference, so I'll let Joey jump in on that.
Okay, so yeah, we have the conference coming up September 11th to the 15th. You all have the link in your email. We have a couple of folks who have expressed interest. I think so far we have Daniel, Hadassah, and Martha. Did anyone else who's here tonight want to be considered for that? The co-chairs, my understanding, the co-chairs are going to make the decision on who's going to go, but the thinking all along has been that one co-chair and one potential future co-chair should go to kind of have that consistency and bring all that knowledge back.
Yeah, and I can say I was I have to check with my supervisor, y'all, about whether or not I can go next week. And so then Ariel and I were going to get together then after I've gotten that note to see to make that final decision of which two of us should go.
But yeah, the expenses will of course all be covered by the city. And I think it'll be very helpful for the panel to just network, to meet other, because there'll be other panel members from other cities. There'll be other, professional oversight folks. You sit there, and sort of absorb all the knowledge from the panels, but you also get a lot of handouts and sort of draft policies in other cities, or best practices and stuff that you can bring back to the panel and share. So I would say that part of the deal in Gone is, it's all the expenses are covered by the city, but your responsibility when you come back is to kind of fully report back and bring all that knowledge back to the panel, and kind of be that conveyor of that information. So there's a little work at the end, and the conferences are busy. It's like 8:30 in the morning to 5. It's long days. If you get exhausted, you can take a break. You don't have to like be at every panel, and there's usually several panels going on at once, so you usually have to kind of decide which one you want to be at, or sometimes jump around between a couple, so you can try to pick up as much as you can. But yeah, I think it'll be very helpful for all of you to have 2 reps go.
Cool. Yeah, so we'll be in touch next week then with that final decision, and yeah, because that's right around the corner. Oh boy, September is here.
Okay, great.
That's adorable.
So next we have panel member application and selection process. Joey, I don't know if you had anything for this too, or if you wanted Daniel and I to.
Either way, if you all want to go, and I can fill in any additional details if need be.
Joy, do you want to give us the rundown of how it went last time? Just a quick.
Sure.
Time,
yeah.
And then Ariel and I can pick up on this time.
Absolutely. Yeah. So the way we did it last time, it starts really with first making a public announcement and announcing what the schedule is going to be, so everyone knows when the due dates are, how to apply, when the decision is going to be made, when the terms would start. So we have press releases and everything from 2 years ago that we just need to kind of recycle and update. We have almost all the infrastructure for this whole process in place, just has to be kind of updated and reissued. But we would make that announcement. Simultaneously, we will be, the co-chairs, I guess the whole panel will be selecting 2 community organizations, 2 nonprofits that serve the Boulder community, to assist and sit on this selection committee. Once those are, so we need to have a process by which we will notify the organizations, kind of solicit interest, ask them if they would like to be a part of this. Or we could just look at a list and you all can decide which 2 you want to reach out to. And the last in 2 years ago, it was the NAACP and the Islamic Center of Boulder County. Initially, the NAACP was not included in that. It was initially El Centro Amistad, but after a meeting or 2, they had to pull out because of just the time commitment that it was. And so NAACP came in and filled that seat. So there'll be a decision process you all will need to make to get the community groups involved. And then it's a matter of essentially waiting for the application deadline. Once the deadline has been reached, then there's a process by which you all have to look through all the applications. And last time we received 50-something applications, 56 applications, I believe. So I would expect something in that range again, maybe a little less this time, potentially more now that the panel's been operating. But you all will have to read through those and kind of rank them according to your preference, and then provide those probably to the co-chairs. And then Daniel and I are going to be meeting with one of the implementation team members next week, who's going to share, because the implementation team did a lot of we tried to keep the monitors sort of separate from the decision-making and sort of processing the implementation team's sort of review of the applications, so that the monitor couldn't be accused of, manipulating that process anyway. So Sean Ray, who's the implementation team member, he's going to share the process that he created, and he used this process. He learned this process from university admissions procedures that has been a part of as a professional. And so he took all the implementation team's rankings of the applications, and then had like a formula, applied a ranking or a number to each of the applicants, which wasn't like the final say or anything. It was just like, this is how you all on the implementation team collectively sort of ranked them. And then there were some, then you basically hold a discussion once you have that list, and you kind of go from there. For you all's process, I think it was like 6 or 7 people that everyone agreed on. It was kind of obvious, like, yeah, there was no need for discussion. And then there was like a group of maybe 5 or 6 that were on the cusp. So it's not like you're discussing all 56 applicants. But then we gave everyone an opportunity to try to pull someone from anywhere on the list that, just because they thought they might have had good lived experience or something about them caught their attention and they thought they might be good. And so the group just came to that decision through discussion once they had sort of that ranking, and it was a lot easier and quicker than we thought it was going to be once we had that ranking.
Yeah, and I can
there was
actually
some anticipation, like, oh man, this is going to be a hard knockdown conversation to get through, but it turned out it actually wasn't.
And I can speak to that, Joey. So y'all, my plan is I'll be meeting with Sean Ray to get the detail on everything that they did, and then I'll be following up with all of you to set up a meeting for us to talk, sit down and really talk about what our priorities are, to build out that criteria to just help us to turn some of our qualitative feelings into some quantitative data. We use it in HR, we use it in hiring too. So we'll have a meeting to set that criteria and then set up that process of how we'll narrow down the candidates before we make a final selection. And then one thing Ariel, Joey, and I have been talking about, so El Centro Amistad and Out Boulder were kind of the 2 follow-up organizations that the implementation team had considered when we all were recruited. And one thing I want to note, going forward, as we're looking closer at the ordinance and our requirements for student panel members, we really need to be doing recruitment every year, which means that we'll be reaching out to an organization every year. And so, Joey, correct me if I'm wrong, but the implementation team's kind of vision for those 2 orgs was that we would work our way through many of the nonprofit organizations in Boulder over time. And so that all considered, Ariel and I, we love to hear your feedback. We were thinking of maybe just approaching El Centro Amistad and Outlook Boulder first this year and seeing if they're interested in serving on the recruitment in the recruitment process as kind of a carryover from last year. But
I'm just going to jump in really quick,
Yeah.
Daniel, if you don't mind, for me to just read the mission and values of each
That's a
of
great
those
idea.
nonprofits to kind of help give you guys some context. Sorry to cut you off at all.
No. Yeah, it's great.
So El Centro Amistad's mission and values are to create opportunities and programs that promote equity in health, education, and quality of life for the Latino community in Boulder County. And Out Boulder, working independently and in collaboration, we facilitate connection, advocacy, education, research, and programs to ensure LGBTQ+ people and communities thrive in Boulder County and beyond. So those are, I think it's just important to state their 2 missions. And as Daniel said, if you feel comfortable, those would be the 2 organizations we'd go to initially.
Yeah, Datha.
I was thinking, I mean, so it sounds like the goal is to work with every organization in the area, and B, we're going to be doing this a lot, right? Like, we're going to be recruiting people a lot. And so what I'm wondering is if maybe we just want to reach out to all of the local charities and say, here's what we're going to need from you. We're going to need somebody now, but if you need a year to schedule from somebody, can we book you to be the next, or, to kind of get a sense of, because they're probably also limited on manpower, like to help them coordinate when they're going to have time versus when we're going to need somebody. And we can kind of schedule, maybe a couple people out. And that way we have we have a plan and it makes it a little bit easier and we don't risk that somebody wanting to be involved and not being able to because of time commitment.
Totally.
That's just my only thought.
Just building on what Hadassah is saying, I think the community engagement team has already built a database of people or organizations we should be targeting. So we already have a blueprint there.
I think that's true. And I also think, though, that these are two nonprofits who have already expressed interest in working with us, like, overtly expressed interest in working with us. And while we want to target everyone and make sure, I also, I think, like, linking back and strengthening connections too with populations and people that we already have started an initial connection with is important. And I know from conversations with Joey that, at least at the time, Out Boulder was disappointed that they ultimately didn't get to participate. They might now be like, we are way too busy and don't have the manpower. But and Hadassah, I think what your point is great, but also that's a lot of work, right? So in a lot of ways, we can start to set up the system for that, I think, of how we reach out to all these nonprofits, letting them know with a student on the panel how often this will be happening. I think that's great, but I also think getting that off of the ground, along with just getting our first round of, we have, I think it is 6 spots to fill between alternates and 2 new seats. So filling that, I would just be worried about the workload of reaching out to the hundreds of nonprofits that are in Boulder County. So that's my initial hesitation there.
Yeah, and I think what I'm thinking is I'm good moving forward with the people that have already expressed and have already contacted us and have said, yes, we definitely want to do this and we think we have the time now. But I think that having, a second letter, like I said, that just says, here's going to be our future plan. If you think that you will have any interest, let us know and we'll contact, like we would love to have that, like a list of more people for next time.
Definitely.
Kind of what
I'm happy to work on that. So I'm happy to work on a form letter that we can review internally of recruitment, or what it would look like, an offer letter to a nonprofit, basically, of what the time commitment would be, that we could use, if that would be helpful, if people want to see a draft of that.
I wonder too, I think that I had 2 thoughts. Is I think if we reach out directly to a bunch of organizations saying, hey, we're looking for members, and then they ultimately don't get picked, that also feels like a little bit of a little bit of a hook and pull on them. And so I wonder if it's maybe a little bit more of us putting out a press release, putting out a statement, asking City of Boulder to put something out and saying, we are looking for organizations who are interested in getting involved. Please get in touch with the panel. And then we create a short list, which I think would include El Centro and Out Boulder, of a short list of organizations that we want to follow up with who have already reached out with us. And so maybe that way that might, one, Ariel, to your point, kind of condense the workload so that we're not having to reach out to all these organizations. Because I also worry about the organization that we might overlook in that process. And so if it's direct outreach, then they have no way of getting back to us. Whereas I think if we do a general, if we ask City of Boulder to put out a press release, we put a statement on our website, we ask for City of Boulder to put out a call on their Facebook, which I think they did last go around. That might be a more sustainable way, one, of reaching as many organizations as possible, and also reaching the organizations that really are interested in having the time. Because I also feel like, if I was running a nonprofit and got an email from Ariel, it's like, hey, would you like to join in? I'm like, oh, we could pull someone together to do that, right? And then nothing comes of it, or it does come of it, and it turns out we didn't really have the time capacity. I think we might just experience a lot of churn in that if we don't put the agency on the organizations.
I guess I have 2, sorry to keep playing devil's advocate. I have 2 concerns or hypotheticals here too, of one, we don't hear back from anyone. Or two, we hear back from 75 organizations and this is a separate application process onto itself, which both of those seem awful to me.
I'll add, the first time it did almost feel like a separate application process for the community organizations. And also to Daniel's point, I did sense that there were some of the organizations that felt a little miffed at the end, like, what, we volunteered for this, I thought you wanted this, now you're telling us we didn't get selected. So that you do run that risk when you make that sort of targeted outreach to people. The only other point I would make is that it's possible we might not have to do this every year. The student terms are 1 year, but the students can still do two terms. So we could get on a cycle where we have 2 students who do 2 years, and then we don't, they just end the cycle with the rest of the terms that are getting that we're going through. Those are only my only kind of comments.
Martha, did you have anything?
I don't know. I'm kind of hearing like we prioritize these 2 groups. But I also feel like maybe that's the rest of the population could still get like an introductory something from just the communications network, just so that we can start those networking feelers without it being like specific to this process or like to that piece. So just so that it's both, because then I actually really like that it's different groups for the next time, just to kind of build the community and expand in an inclusive way. So I think that's really awesome.
That's a really good point, Martha. We shouldn't just be reaching out to these organizations when we need something from them. When we need their time, we should build that relationship long term. Yeah, it's a good point.
Agreed. Well, it sounds like we need to think on this a little bit more about the outreach to nonprofits. So we have a follow-up meeting tomorrow, the co-chairs with Joey, as we do after all of our regular meetings. And so maybe we can put together kind of a proposal to the panel with a few different options that people can vote on over email. And we'll get that cranking out, because I know that we need to make a decision on this quickly.
Yeah, I think what we were
take up too much more time on it.
Yeah, sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt. I think what we were thinking, like, we need to probably get this process started by like late September. And so we were thinking we'd sort of talk about it a little bit tonight, get the ideas out there, and then come back for the September meeting with a sort of plan in place, a couple decision points that the panel will need to make, and then you all make those decisions at the September meeting, and then we start the process at that point.
Yeah, because our goal is to have our new panelists and alternates selected by the end of the year.
Right.
Because we also have panel members who are rotating off in the new year. So it is kind of, we are pressed for time, I think, as well.
And the other thing we need to keep in mind, which we learned last time, is we have to remember that we have the holidays in November and December. That ends up taking out a big chunks of time, especially when you need to like interview a bunch of people and you need like a big schedule. So that need to keep that in mind as well.
So maybe in that case, off of Ariel, what you were saying, us 3, Joey, Ariel, and I will build out a plan for selecting the organizations and final timeline, and we'll send that around for review. And maybe we should go ahead and just do that as an email vote, and we can follow up in the September meeting to announce the results of that, just to keep things moving, not to hide things, but to keep the ball rolling. And then what it sounds like then is our big decision here is whether or not to do direct outreach to nonprofit organizations or to do indirect outreach through other communication channels. But either way, it sounds, are we interested in reaching back out to El Centro and Out Boulder to reassess their interest either way with these results? Okay, that I just wanted to double check on that. Okay. Boom. I think that gives us a clear way forward.
Do you
then.
need our votes, or I don't know. Is a yes fine? The timeline, are we hoping to have people by the first? Like, is that what I just heard? Or
Joey,
is that,
that's a really helpful. Joey, do you mind sharing your screen with that timeline you have from last time? Because I think that will help. It helped me a lot to see kind of the structure of everything. And I think it's a really solid plan that they did last time. Sorry, Joey.
I have it up. If
I don't have, oh, perfect. I was gonna say, I don't have, it's taking me a second to pull it up, but if Daniel,
It took me
let me make
25
you
minutes,
up.
so if Daniel has it, great.
Joey, can you
Thank you. I'm a
let
visual
me-
learner. I need it.
Can you let me share my screen, Joey? Thanks. Okay. Yeah, so we're looking at the fast track, y'all. And so the reason is that one, because we are down panel members. We do not have our full 9 right now. We also don't have our student representation. So the sooner we get in alignment there, the better. But we also have people cycling off in January. And so that's kind of, so to your point, Martha, yes, I think before January 1st is our pressing timeline. And so with the fast track, then really we're looking at getting started. I mean, it's now to get a month's jump on it. But if you move all these dates back a full month, and Joey's point taken about the holidays, because I think if I remember correctly, last go around, that's why all our interviews got bumped into the new year, was just the scheduling around that.
Yeah, I think we were actually ended up on option number 2.
Right.
For you all's process. Yeah. But yeah, I think the point about essentially taking this time frame and bumping everything up a month and a half is about what we're looking at. Yeah, which will give us more time and allow us to, I think, finish before the first of the year.
Right. So yeah, our first action item, we have 2 action items. One, Ariel, Joey, and I will come back to you all with a plan to give feedback and approve. But then either way, we need to have our nonprofits selected by September, by the second week of September. That's our most pressing deadline right now. So we'll meet it. We'll just make it happen. That's what we do.
Great. And are we good here? Are we still going? Are we moving on?
Was that a subtle hint to take my screen?
I was like, come on, let's stop.
Excuse me.
We have monitors report and panel selection of cases next. I would recommend that we take our break here, so that Joey can kind of go uninterrupted. Do we want to, we don't have any members of the public, I don't think right now either. So do you guys want to take a 10-minute break, come back at 6:30? Does that work for everyone? 9 minutes?
7:30.
Sorry.
7:30 our time.
Sorry.
Yeah. Hey, I'm here for you. I'm here to convert the time.
7:30. Is that good? Okay, great.
Thanks, y'all. Ooh, so official. And I'll hand it over to Joey for our monitors report. And FYI, everyone, Joey sent us out the PowerPoint with the statistics as well. That's in the general meeting folder as well, if you want to pull those up. Otherwise, Joey, I'll hand it over to you.
All right. Thank you, Daniel. First item on my report is just the passage of Ordinance 8543 that increased the panel from 9 to 11. So we got it done. It's in effect now. It is the new law. What this also means now is that instead of operating under Ordinance 8430, which used to be the ordinance we operate under, it's the same ordinance. It just has a new number now that it has been adapted. So the only changes to it were the 9 to 11 and the increase of the alternates. And there was a section that there was some language in the selection process that only applied to the first time that the panel was created, where it talked about the panel members drawing straws to decide who would have a 2-year term and who would have a 3-year term. That whole thing is moot now, so they just took that out of the ordinance. But everything else in the ordinance is the same. Any questions before I move on to the next item? Any questions about the new ordinance? Process went very smoothly. Thank you, Daniel and Ariel, for being there to answer any questions from the council. We got a couple of questions. The council was clearly fully in support of expanding. I think it was a unanimous vote in expanding the panel. We did get some questions around the workload. We shared that with them. I had a little slide where I talked about how many hours you all are donating or devoting to this. Talked about where adding people would help in terms of the time commitment for panel members. But yeah, the other thing I think that came through was that one of the council members asked if you all were getting paid any kind of stipend. And so I said, yep, told them what it was and that we were planning to increase that in the new budget. And they were all like nodding in agreement, like, yeah, this panel seems to be doing like a lot of work and they deserve additional compensation and resources. And I think the mayor thanked all of you specifically for doing this work and acknowledged that it was hard, difficult work. So yeah, I think I came away feeling like we had the full support of the panel, the full support of the council on both expansion of the panel and increase of the stipend. So that was all good signs to me.
I was going to ask Joyce, so it just occurred to me, our quorum number now is 6, correct?
Yeah. We will have to adjust that. Exactly. Yep.
Yeah. Cool.
So yeah, but it would go up to 6. Well, in January, once we have the new members join the panel, once the panel has actually expanded to 11. So we'll still be 9 or 8 until we actually bring the new people on. Once the new people on and we have 11, then we'll increase the quorum to 6.
The quorum is still 5 for the 9, even though we only have 8. But as soon as we bring on 11, then it's 6.
Exactly. That's not confusing at all.
The math of democracy.
Right. The next item on monitor's report, I just needed to get us sort of settled on how we were going to do this review and discussion of of Boulder's reimagining policing plan. I sent out the doodle. I didn't get a whole lot of responses to that, but over the past month where I had committee meetings or case reviews, I've been able to talk to several of you. I think the consensus that I got, and you all change this if you all have a different view at this point, but I think the consensus I'm getting is that there was a preference for doing it at our next meeting on September 9th, I believe it is, as long as we can ensure that like we would make the meeting specifically about dedicate 1 hour to the reimagining policing plan, and then probably 1 hour to our new panel member application and selection process. Cover just those 2 topics at our next meeting and make sure that we have enough time for those 2 very important items. Maybe do just like very quick updates from the committees, but spend most of our time on those 2 agenda items. I think that avoids you all having to schedule another evening separate from our panel meetings or case reviews or committee work meetings. So I think that's the signal I'm getting, that would work for most everyone, as long as we also acknowledge that if we do need to go past 2 hours on the September 9th meeting, that we allow ourselves to do that, to make sure that we cover everything, so that we're not cutting something out that we would have otherwise done. Does that sound workable? Does that sound like a plan? And you all would get this plan like 2 weeks ahead of time or so, have time to review it. And then you could provide any written feedback you want ahead of time, and then come to that meeting. And it'll probably be the chief and the Wendy Schwartz, I think, who has been the kind of program managers or the process manager for this whole process. She's a city staff member, not a police department employee, and maybe like a city manager or something as well may join them. Does that sound workable? Any other suggestions or other preferences?
Is that the plan we got and did feedback on?
I don't think you all received it yet.
Oh.
Yeah, I don't think it's been provided to you yet, has it?
Well, it was in that article we sent around.
Oh, yeah, you may have come across it somewhere else publicly, like other links and stuff to it, but I don't think we formally sent it to you all with the request to review it yet.
Uh-oh.
We wanted to get the date set. And
I
then,
gave super honest responses thinking it was from us. I'm gonna have to
how
go
did you give
check it
that
out.
response?
I don't know. I'll have to go in my email and check it out because I gave some super honest responses. And
I
then-
think
No,
that
it's
was
all
just-
good. I mean, you can do that either as a community member or as a panel member. It doesn't stop you from continuing to do this, give your feedback with the panel.
Martha, I think that was just an email to all of us. That was an internal chain. If
Oh,
you're,
okay. I was
yeah, yeah.
like, oh crap.
That's right. No, I do remember seeing that now.
yeah.
But yeah, hold on to that. That you're ahead of the game. You've already reviewed it and have something to say. So that's all good. So, sorry, any other thoughts, suggestions on how to do this?
I think that sounds great. I think we probably should anticipate adding on some extra time. And get kind of a consensus of which way works best if we want to start earlier or end later. Would be my only suggestion, I guess.
Any preference from this group? My sense of the group is that going later into the evening is easier than starting earlier, but whatever you all think.
I could say for myself, going later is easier.
Same for me.
Either way, I have no preference.
I don't think I have a preference either. I will say it does look like that. Is our next meeting the 8th or the 15th?
It would be the 8th.
The 8th, okay. Then we're good.
I should be into some sort of back to school groove by then. So either
I just realized
before-
I might have a conflict that date also. I'll confirm. But we also, just because of that, I know this is an important meeting. If that's the case, we'll just want to check in with panelists who aren't here and make sure that we have quorum.
Okay. Gotcha. And Martha, you were saying you'll be back in the school grind sort of thing, meaning that it would be more difficult, or?
No, just that by the 8th, I should at least have some sort of after school flow. So I think.
Oh,
I
you'll have a
can
sense of like what your schedule and stuff is, yeah.
Yeah. It's always an event because they're in different places.
Yeah. Okay, gotcha. All right, we'll plan tentatively. I'll send out the email confirming with everyone, but tentatively plan for September 8th, adding any additional time that we need to. All right. Thank y'all. Let me just get my little slide set up here. Okay. So for this past month, the panel as a whole, we were only able to get to one case review, but that's actually because we were waiting on 2 other cases to be completed by the police department. So it wasn't, the holdup wasn't on our end. Those two cases did just get completed at the end of last week. I've reached out to the pair or the 2 pairs of 3 panel members that are assigned to those 2 cases to get those scheduled. We have a few more, some to review tonight, so those will go on the list as well, whichever you select. So we'll have another full 3 that we're ready to review going into this next cycle. The department has responded to, there were 2 outstanding, one that we did this past cycle and one that was a holdover from a past cycle. Those have been received, so there are no sort of open recommendations from the panel that we're waiting currently for from the police department. The cases that we did receive this past cycle was 001, 011, and 016. 001 involved an allegation of respect for others, Rule 4. This was the case that involved the trespass and parking dispute in the North Boulder Rec Center parking lot, where there were allegations of white privilege, of a threat to get a taser. There was some subsequent exchange between a sergeant and the complainant. And then there also included a referral to HHS for a child welfare check. The panel had sustained the Rule 4 allegation, or recommended to sustain the Rule 4 allegation. The panel also recommended further investigation of an officer's reference to the subject, the complainant's mental health status. An officer had made comments to third parties on the scene, and the panel had also recommended de-escalation training for the dispatchers. For this case, the chief did not sustain. She came to a determination of not sustained. They did do the additional investigation that the panel recommended, or that the review committee recommended. That has been shared with that review committee. The additional investigation did address the additional concerns raised by the panel, by the review committee, such as the verbal exchange, the reference to the mental health status, the child welfare referral. The conclusion was that there was no policy violations there. References to mental health status by officers is not a HIPAA violation. Police are not held to the HIPAA policies and standards and rules. And the referral to HHS was concluded to be sort of part of what they're trained to do when a child is potentially in danger. The argument here was that the child was in the vehicle when the vehicle was being used to block someone else's vehicle in during a confrontation. And then that's what had triggered the officers feeling like he should report that to Child Welfare Services, or to HHS, excuse me. So that was the outcome on that one. 011 was also a respect for others, but also included an allegation of use of force. This involved an individual who was at a mental health facility, who the doctor there had determined he needed to be put on a mental health hold. So the officers just arrived to carry that out. In the process, the man was trying to light a cigarette just before going into the ambulance, and the officer told him several times not to do that, and then took the cigarette out of his mouth, or sort of knocked it out of his mouth. The individual alleged that the officer slapped him in the face and slapped him in the chest, or struck him in the chest. But the body-worn camera footage clearly demonstrated that it was just grabbing the cigarette or knocking the cigarette out of the mouth. There was no slap to the face or knock to the chest. The panel that reviewed this, which included a review of the body-worn camera footage, did recommend to exonerate the officer on this, and the chief's determination was also exonerated. 016 involved a pursuit where two officers had allegations against them. This was a pair of internal allegations filed within the department by supervisors and commanders concerned about the tactics used by an officer during a pursuit. This essentially included going the wrong way down a one-way boulevard, and the pursuit being called off by a supervisor, but the officer continuing to engage in the pursuit. Another officer blocked a roadway during the pursuit, and there was some question around whether that was a actual violation of policy or not. It was determined both by the panel and the department that it wasn't a violation of the roadblock policy as the policy is currently written, but that the policy should be improved upon and revised to make the intention more clear. So that was ultimately a not sustained or exonerated of the officer for blocking the road, but with some retraining and coaching for what needs to be considered for safety reasons, for public safety and for officer safety reasons. The allegation against the officer who actually engaged in the pursuit and drove the wrong way and disregarded the direction to stop the pursuit, those were sustained. with a 5-year letter of reprimand recommended by the panel. The chief did sustain that, did a 5 and agreed to a 5-year letter of reprimand. The one other note I should add here is that the officer who these complaints were sustained against has actually taken employment with another law enforcement agency, a federal law enforcement agency, so is no longer a member of the Boulder Police Department. But that is the report back on the 3 cases that were closed this past cycle. Any comments, questions before I move on to the next set of statistics?
I definitely have some thoughts. Wow. I'm trying to articulate without becoming that, biased caricature of an angry brown person. But I definitely am concerned about 001 and that outcome. And I'm wondering if it is possible to, I don't remember what we called it, but during the retreat, we talked about maybe like exploring more options about maybe statements or something after the chief overrides our recommendations. And just I'm wondering how people feel about that.
Yeah, I thought this was an idea that Sarah raised, so if Sarah also wants to jump in, I think it's a good idea, and I would agree that this would be the time for us to start publishing statements to cases that where outcomes differed, and just doing that, I would say, on a regular basis too, that this can just kind of become protocol. And I think, yeah, this would be the time to start that process. So I also am in favor of doing that.
I agree. And I think maybe the format is, each month to release, Joey, exactly as anyone who attended these meetings can see this information. And so if we can make that available as a statement from the panel, here's the cases we reviewed this go around, here's our verdicts, here's the chief's outcomes. And yeah, we have the statements section on our website all ready to go to handle that. Yeah, that was my thought. Sarah in the chat says agreed.
I'll just say the summary that Joey does. Why don't we just publish that in full? Then there's no need of us issuing further statements, and then we start back and forth exchanges.
Oh, that was what I was actually thinking, was that, yeah, we essentially take what Joey has given us today and just reformat it into a statement that can go on our website, or is reproducible for any members of the public who aren't attending a meeting.
Yeah, but my take is that there is no need of us focusing on disagreements and agreements. Just whatever Joey has done, whether we agreed or we didn't agree, just that.
Do you mean not?
Did you see what Sarah said with, I think what we discussed was exactly that, with a dissent, with a we dissent kind of note. And this is personal, so speaking for myself, I think we have room here for that we dissent to be pretty clear, if we want that to be, that this can be standardized every month. And then if the panel decides we want to add on a stronger statement too, and I think keep it short, of course, but I personally think we have the power and we have the room to say publicly if we disagree with something, and there's no reason for us not to. So that's That's my stance on that. And for me with this one, this is one where I would have no problem with our we dissent 2-sentence statement being pretty strong in terms of disagreeing.
One thing I would just point out that you may want to consider as part of the process of how you all decide to do this is, so you have 3 panel members who are actually reviewing the case and who know the case pretty well. And then a determination is come to, they make a recommendation, then you may have the chief disagree or go a different direction. You probably want to have a process where the rest of the panel looks at the case. If you're going to say something collectively, make sure you all feel that way about the case, about the evidence, about before, because it just, you would have, I mean, you could do it where you're just kind of, the whole group is sort of trusting the 3 and you're all going to put your weight behind that. But you may also want to consider, like, if you're going to put out a public statement, then you should all feel comfortable with the evidence and know it sort of inside and out before you put your names on on a public statement. That's how I would feel if I was doing it, but you all may feel differently.
I think that's the advantage of republishing exactly what we just had. So that slide you had, Joey, republished into a clear description of the reviewed case, a clear understanding that the panel did not agree with the police chief's final verdict, because that's in there, right? We exonerated, right? That's in there. Or so we exonerated. The chief exonerated, we sustained. That's right there in the statement. And so in that sense, then, like, we've already made this information public, but we have not made it accessible, and we have not made it, if someone wants to dig into it deeper and to call up the panel and say, hey, can you give us more information on this case you looked into? I think that's then where the 3 members become more involved. But I think just even for our own sanity and workload, I'm inclined to, we make what we see every month available as soon as possible as a statement that the media can reach out, the public can reach out to. That's kind of where I'm at. Because otherwise, considering how long it's taken for us to make statements in the past, I don't think we can do that every month. Because I just think it's a lot of work. And in the event that something really does come to a head, we have to be prepared for that too. Because if the police chief decides to make her own statement and get her PR folks involved, that's something we have to be prepared for. And so I'd rather be saving up that time to deal with that situation than preparing a specific statement every month to go along with what's clear. We disagreed.
I mean, if we're just gonna like republish what's already being published, that's not a statement.
It's not published.
It's like,
but that's my point. It's not published, right? We show it in our meeting, and that's not who sits down and watches a 2-hour meeting to get those details every week. That's what I'm kind of saying, is that I think we should publish it, and I think that's the statement, because the police chief isn't publishing these verdicts.
I guess where I see it, like, for this particular thing, I have 3 separate issues. One, the verbiage we got about HIPAA and it not applying to law enforcement, I emphatically disagree on. And that is because, police officers are able to say, hey, this individual had glossy eyes. I smelled the smell of alcohol in their breath, and I assumed that they were under the influence of X, Y, and Z. That's a diagnosis that's rendered. And their descriptions, their influences absolutely affect the lives of people. And at a certain level, especially because we're getting into like issues with people who have mental health, who have trauma, they have to abide by disability. Those are protected classes. So to say, oh no, that doesn't apply is very odd. I mean, I'm not articulating it well now, of course. But even that, isn't that a security of police information issue to just dispense it out to whoever? Obviously, I would like gather thoughts before and make sure that everybody agrees, but like, if we're gonna make a statement, I don't know why we wouldn't be bold about it. That, I think that's the point. And then especially for, like, I looked up the data just because I didn't want to feel like, oh my gosh, nuts. But like, it's not a small thing to call in a child welfare report. It isn't. So the census data for Boulder County reflects 14% of a Latino community here in this county. But right now in kids that are involved in child welfare, there's 360 kids in the community. And of those kids, 133 of those kids are Latino kids. That is 42%. When the community census says it's 14%, but the community that's being affected is 42%, there's clearly a disparity there. So we can't be like willy-nilly about them calling over situations like this. I mean, I won't expand more than that now, but I feel like if we're gonna make a statement, let's actually make a statement. That's just my thought.
So I hear what you're saying, Daniel, in terms of like the feasibility and the amount of work and labor. I think that we could think of a way to present the data consistently that also brings very much to attention the times when there has been a disagreement between us and the chief.
Right.
And I think that we could present that in a way that is clear and obvious, but also isn't necessarily producing a statement every single time. That being said, I mean, I think we've had a very small percentage of the cases go this way. And so the reality that we would be writing a statement every single month, I don't think is the case. Even if we were to do that every single time that this happened. But I do think I agree that this feels like a big one, and that maybe needs a little bit of
A little
behind
bit
it.
more. Yeah.
Yeah.
So maybe that's what it is. It's two processes. Is one, we have the system of how we publish our verdicts and our disagreements, and two, to always have the door open to adding a more narrative statement to that day, to those results as well. Yeah. Sarah, I see your hand. I'll hand it to you.
Hey, I'm just wondering, so I've often seen, I think, things like city council members, when they dissent to something, often write like an op-ed.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm wondering if, for instance, like in this case, I agree with Martha, but I'm not sure I'm as passionate as she is about the disagreement. And I'm wondering if one member is passionate, if we should use the tactics of city council and write an op-ed. We can publish what Joey publishes. And there will be some interested community partners who might pick up the ball and run with it. But I think what I'm wondering is the rules that we put in place, or city council put in place, about writing things like op-eds. And I'm wondering if that is an option we have, and then any individual panel member can do that. If we get to this particular point, like, I feel like Martha could probably get some coffee and write an op-ed today with her passion. And then we wouldn't actually have to deliberate it.
Yeah.
We would say, I'm going to write an op-ed and publish it in the whatever it's called.
I love that.
I think it's great. Yeah, and as individuals, I mean, as far as like, can we do this as individuals? We can write and say whatever. I mean, it's in our bylaws. None of this work will infringe on our right to free speech. So all of this conversation aside, if anyone in this room wants to write an op-ed, there is nothing preventing them from doing so in that. And I just want not to press it in one direction, but just to address that straight on, is that we have no procedure to prohibit any individuals from expressing themselves. Yeah. Chico, yeah.
Yeah, so just going back to what Joey said, picking it up from there. If we're gonna go down this path, then you are assuming that all of us have reviewed the case, which is not the case. So then, then it means that we have to find a way of everybody reviewing the case, which is more workload. I don't think that the system was designed for us to be double handling or triple handling matters. So that's why for me, I'm just saying that if at all the report that Joey did, if we publicize that, then we get an inquiry, then we can dig further and add on to that why we disagreed. I'm just thinking about the workload. I frankly, I don't have time to take on more assignments. That's just me.
Thank you. Yeah. For the sake of moving forward, should we take a vote now about asking Joey to publish the information that he shows in the slides, to publish that in a statement format to our website as thing one that we all agreed to do?
As a statement, or just essentially like the slides that I show you all, find a place to put those on the website?
I think that we could present something, and I'd like to, if it's okay, I'd like to just put together something that would, kind of what I'm imagining is like, a nice little descriptive, this is this, here's how many times exonerated, maybe a couple of like comment options so you can like look into specific things. If it's like things we want to highlight, specifically like this, the number of times that it was sustained by us, not sustained by the chief. Here's a hyperlink to some details or a little bit of extra detail on those specific cases. Yeah, I can put together something and then we can kind of come together. I'm more than happy to do that if that's okay with y'all.
I think that would be great personally, Hadassah, if you're up for doing that and kind of a proposal. I really appreciate that, and I think it'd be excellent.
Sure.
Okay.
And
I'll wait. Oh,
I just want to say, and that's not to drop the second point about how we make a more impactful statement while also balancing our workload. And so I guess just with a couple minutes here, if we just do we want to set aside some time to discuss that further? Do we want to wait until our next meeting to discuss that? Because I don't want to shut it down just by passively tabling it. I do want to move forward, Hadassah, thank you. But then also, how do we want to move forward with making a decision about an additional, more impactful statement? And what we've heard from the options, sorry, you said city council, but the first thing that came to mind was Supreme Court, because there's one judge who writes the dissenting opinion, there's one judge who writes the assenting opinion, it's like, and so maybe there's the one panel member who writes the, which is what I think I was hearing, one panel who writes an opinion, and then the other extreme of that, and a panel member who writes an opinion to accompany that and represents that opinion for themselves or for the three people of the reviewing committee. That's option one. or option 2 is that the panel does a full review and prepares a full statement that would go out. And so I think those are the 2 options we're discussing outside of doing nothing.
One other option I was just thinking about how the ordinance was sort of imagining this, how the implementation team wanted sort of imagine something like this happening. They specifically wrote in the ordinance that the monitor would report out these things at the meeting, and then the panel could make any comments or statements or observations about those outcomes and policies and what have you. So one other way to do it could be a verbal statement at the meeting. And if you all know you're going to make a statement like that, you can notify whoever you want, members of the media, and that someone's going to be making a statement tonight on a case. And then you say it at the meeting and you're quoted in your own words with your name. And so everyone doesn't have to sort of agree with it or take the responsibility for it. It's just, but it's that individual, that's that opportunity to voice that, make that individual statement yourself in your own words. That's another option I'll just throw out there.
Lifting up Sarah in the chat, ask, can we get alignment via email? And it is 8:08.
Real quick, yeah, I think that's a great idea. I will say this is another thing. I mean, this is one of the things that the governance is kind of dealing with, and we do need to flesh out in our bylaws. So it is a new process. We'll come up with something and it'll be all right. So yeah, I think starting via email is a great start, and I vote for that.
Okay. And Hadassah and Martha, since you are our lone 2 governance committee, I think on this too, since the co-chairs are designated as the spokespersons for the panel, if you want to include REL in that brainstorm, if there's any way we can support that, that's not to get involved if you don't want us involved with it, but if you want to reach out to us, or if we wanted to do a sub meeting to talk about it, and maybe that's then where we can bring something back to the rest of the panel.
Yeah, I say we'll prioritize it for this next month's meeting, which would be the 17th, or for this month's meeting, sorry, 17th. If we need to reschedule to kind of fit people's schedules, let me know and we can update that. But for now, it is the 17th, 6 to 7 p.m.
Got it. Thank you.
Mhm.
All right. I do have just one last slide, just some statistics to show y'all just where we're at, and then I will turn it back over to the chair. So these are our numbers for what we received last month in July. We had 4 complaints filed. 3 of those were misconduct, 1 classified as serious misconduct. The panel, you all have those 4 cases in your case summaries tonight. Just 1 community inquiry filed in July. So far in August, 1 complaint received, no community inquiries, and 11 open cases currently. Chair, I will turn it back over to you.
Cool beans. Sorry, I'm just making sure that meeting is in my calendar. Hadassah, there we go. Okay. So next up, panel members, we need to vote on our cases. Joey sent those out to us, so please go ahead and pull those up. And while panel members are doing that, we do have 1 member of the public, and then for anyone who's viewing this afterwards, just a note that what we're about to do is to vote on the case summaries for this past month that came from complaints against the Boulder Police Department. We just wanted to note that these are full case summaries, not complaints, not just summaries of the complaints. What Joey does is pulls together summaries of any additional police camera footage, any available evidence, initial investigations, other complaints, any kind of extenuating circumstances that help us to better understand the context of the complaint before we vote. We do not read out the details of these complaints because we want to make sure we protect the privacy of both the complaintee and the complainants. But as you just saw, each month, Joey reads out the case summaries of the ones we've completed. And so you'll see those in our annual report as well. And so panel members, we will do this with a majority vote, and I will read out the full case number and the rule violations just to make sure we're all on the same page. Joey, I see you in the doc. Thanks for ready to go. So our first one is MI 2022-017. These allegations are a Rule 1 against 2 officers. I'll give you just a second. Panel members all in favor of reviewing this case, hands up. Thank you, Martha. I see 1. Okay, and panel members all in favor of not reviewing this case, hands up. The nays have it. The next one is MI 2022-018. And these allegations are also a Rule 1. Give you just a second. And panel members all in favor of reviewing this case, hands up. This was that. It's 1, 2, 3, 4. All against reviewing this case, hands up. Thank you, Sarah. The ayes have it. We will review MI 2022-018. Next up is MI 2022-019. This allegation is a Rule 1 violation. Panel members, hands up if you'd like to review this case. Let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4. Thank you. Panel members, hands up if you're against reviewing this case. And the ayes have it. So we will review MI 2022-019. Next up is MI 2022-020. This is a Rule 1 violation and a Rule 5 violation. Give you just a second. And panel members, hands up if you would like to review this case. I see 2.
All right, this is 020.
020, yes.
Okay, thanks.
MI 2022-020. Boom. And Chico, you did give a hand for that, right? Yes, that's 4. Panel members, hands up against reviewing this case. That's 2. So we will review this case. The ayes have it. Thank you. Next up is SM 2022-004. And this is a Rule 1 violation. Sorry, it's embedded deep in. It's the long one and it's our last one. Yeah, Rule 1. Panel members, hands up if you would like to review this case. That's unanimous. So we will review SM 2022-004. And in accordance with the Sarah Holt protocol, would we go ahead and like to sign up for those panel members who are here, sign up for which cases we'd like to do? Joey, do you want to just go through those and we'll volunteer? Joey, I think you're muted, Joey.
Yes, let me check my other lists to see which other outstanding cases we may have. Okay, we have 3 people actually already signed to that other open case. So yeah, we can just go through each one and sign up. Oh, and I'm seeing Taisha in the participant section. Let me promote her in. So yeah, 018. If you want to volunteer for that one, let me know.
Sorry, Joey, I also, I have to take off a few minutes early. I'm so sorry about that, you guys. But I wanted to volunteer for, and I'm happy to do any, but I was happy to volunteer for the one that's gonna be a little bit longer and take more time, which is
That last one?
the last one.
Okay.
So if you want to put me down for that, I'm happy to.
I think we all should do the last one.
We're not limited to three. We can, 3 members. Yeah, we can do.
Sign
as
up for
many-
that last one.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I'd like to sign up for that one as well. So Joey, it sounds like we have at least 4 people for
Daniel,
004.
Daniel, you read my mind on the last one too.
I actually really do think that the whole panel may want to
Yeah,
get involved.
We can do that.
Yeah.
Cool.
let's do our first, like, everybody. That'd be kind of neat.
All together now.
Hold on just a second. I will be right back. Sorry, I got something happening in the other room. I'll be 2 seconds.
Should we do it in person?
Guys, before I leave too, Daniel, do you mind saying to him, I'll also do 019?
Yeah, and actually, I think I could put it in there. 019, you said, Ariel?
Yeah.
Ooh, I do have the power. So I'm actually going to take over for Joey, you all.
Great.
Actually, I'm going to go member by member if that's, or never mind. That doesn't make sense. That's not equitable. 017, who would like to jump on that?
I don't think we assigned that one.
That was a no. Thank you, Martha. I can read. That's my English major at work. I meant the 018. Thank you. 018.
I think I have a conflict with it. So
So Martha's out. Okay. Bye, Ariel.
earlier.
Hadassah, was that a hand? Not to. Okay.
No, I was waving bye to Ariel. Sorry.
Okay. But I am going to put myself on this because that was wrong.
I'm having a hard time signing up. Right. I prefer the putting my name in a thing if that's okay. I just like I can't decide. I can't decide this way. I'm sorry.
Do we not want to sign up for the reviews then? Do we want to try and do that over email? Is that what I'm hearing?
Or she can send in what she prefers later. Then
Great.
the
So
rest
then
of
let's
us can go ahead.
Great. So let's just go panel member by panel member then, if that makes sense. Sarah, which cases would you like to review?
I mean, I think there probably needs to be an addendum here as well. Like, I didn't vote for any of them except the last one, so I'll take the last one.
Okay.
There's probably some level of effort and burden you take on by wanting to review cases, just a note.
Okay, Martha, which cases would you like to review?
019 and 004.
019 and 0. Sorry, did you say 004? The last
Yeah,
one.
that last one.
Yeah. Okay, yeah, we're all on the last one, so just the other ones are good. Chico.
020 and the last one.
020 and the last one. So I'm just double check. That is. And I know Taisha just joined us, so so we got some of them. Joey, if you want to follow up with then Taisha, Hadassah, and Victor. Am I missing anyone? Yeah, Ariel was here. So Taisha, Hadassah, and Victor about which cases they want to do. But then otherwise we should get those into the pipe. Yeah, and maybe too, if we want to make sure to give Taisha and Victor the opportunity, if they're not interested in 004, I think that's fine, right? I mean, we can't mandate that the whole panel review a case, so just to make sure they get the opportunity to volunteer.
Correct. Yeah. The way the ordinance says, or the way I think your bylaws read is at least 3 panel members on each committee. So it doesn't say how many or too many, or so that's fine.
Cool. Okay. Boom. Thanks, y'all. We do have a member of the public with us. And so let's move to public comment.
And Daniel, this is Taisha. I also want to give the updates for Victor and I's committee. My apologies for not being available earlier, but perhaps we could do that after public comment very quickly.
Yeah, perfect. So yes, for public comment, sorry, I'm pulling up my notes. Somewhere. Yeah, so members of the public, we will give you the chance to unmute in order to see if you want to give public comment. You will get 2 unimpeded minutes to comment. If there's an interruption or loss of connection, the clock will be stopped. We will give you verbal notice of time at 20 seconds to end, and we will mute the feed right at 2 minutes. Panel members, you all may offer short responses at the end of a comment, and you can go ahead and just chat me directly if you would like to give a response. And then otherwise, give me just 1 second to pull up a timer. And Joey, it looks like we have, oops, sorry. My handy dandy reliable timer doesn't work anymore. Here we go. Joey, if you want to, I think it's Yasmin. Apologies. I'm just reading it out of the chat. Joey, if you want to unmute our member of the public.
So I've asked her to unmute. I think she's ready.
Hello, can you hear me?
We can,
thank you. We can hear you.
Oh, hi. I am just here because of Martha Wilson. She invited me to go ahead and stream this. This is my first introduction to this committee. I think it's amazing, and I'm just kind of learning. And I've been a Boulder community member for 23 years. I've been here. I'm a Latina. I'm a mental health clinician, and I'm out in the community trying to pursue social justice. So I'm just kind of here observing for the first time and learning and absorbing. I appreciate it. I appreciate this committee.
Thank you, Jasmine. I don't know about y'all, but I'm hearing a future panel member there, not to put any pressure on Jasmine.
It's funny you said, my first thought was, by the way, we're recruiting soon. Thank you for being here, and thank you for your feedback. We really do appreciate that. Great. And I think that's it for public comments. So yeah, Taisha, if you want to give your update, sorry, I'm trying to stop screen share and it won't. Boom. So go ahead, Taisha.
Awesome, thank you. And I'll just be using video as I'm driving now. Can you hear me? Is my volume okay?
Yes, we can hear you.
You're good.
Okay, wonderful. Okay, wonderful. So Taisha Adams, she, her pronouns. I am one of the co-chairs of the Community Engagement and Communications Committee with Victor King. And we have been working, our committee has been working on a communication and outreach plan. We were able to get some critical information at the BIPOC retreat from other panelists, particularly around our goals, stakeholder groups that we wanted to make sure that we were talking to people in our community that we wanted to be talking to, and making sure that we're not only keeping them informed, but we are collaborating with them to strengthen policing in Boulder. And so we have a draft almost available for public comment. There's just a few more areas that I'd love to get done by the end of this week so that we can get that posted publicly. And we've also identified almost 100 individuals, from elected officials to city and county agencies to businesses like the Chamber of Business of Chamber, really just a nice cross section, religious groups, affinity groups, outdoor recreation, really trying to get the diversity within the diversity of our community. So we'll be reaching out intentionally, as well as offering universal opportunities for feedback over the next month. So be on the lookout for that, and we'll have our next committee meeting, and that is open to the public, so we will invite additional public comment at that time. In addition to the plan, we also had some really great media opportunities. So I want to thank Ariel and Daniel and Joey and others who were on the Boulder Reporting Lab interview, and want to make sure that those are getting posted. We're also working to update the website, our section of the website, so it has the most relevant information. Transparency was one of the goals that we identified, and so really want to make sure that our meeting notes and presentations, recordings, if those are available, are easily accessible. So that's something that'll be a next piece of the work. And for our fellow panelists, we are working on the media protocol. We have some draft language, but there's just some considerations that we'll need to review at the committee meeting, as well as with the co-chairs, and then we'll be able to circle back. But thank you for your patience around that. And then lastly, we have an exciting opportunity to join or to participate in the screening of This Is Not Us, which is a film about being Black in Boulder, and it's just an incredible film. I got to see it at the Gary Art Center. It'll be screened on August 25th at the Chautauqua Auditorium, and thankfully panelists are invited to join, and it'll be covered as a part of our professional development fund. It's a really great opportunity. There is a lot in there about the formation of this panel. There's segments of the interviews that Darren from NAACP and others did to really, form the foundation, as well as the founding group, of course. And so, if I did hear back from a few of you that you're available and interested, it's not too late, so please let us know. I think there's already 500 tickets already sold, which is very exciting. And in addition to that, we also received the engagement list, or we're beginning to receive more information around the way that our police department already engages with community like possible to join, so that we are amplifying touch points. But we're also looking for opportunities to engage in existing, whether it be community associations or other ways that community is already getting together, recognizing that both are really stretched right now. We really want to have a balance between come to us, we've got these great opportunities, whether it be a town hall or a community forum, but there's also the opportunity to go to where people are. So that's all I have at the moment. And I'm happy to field any questions that panelists or others may have.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Taisha. And yes, we did mention the Chautauqua viewing too. And I think everyone actually asked Joy to procure them tickets. So we should have quite a few of us there, which is really exciting. And big thanks to all the work you and Victor have put in to our community outreach. And Victor, I think this is the first meeting that Victor's had to miss for work. And so, yeah, just wanted to voice that. And with just a few minutes to go, any final thoughts before we all sign off?
Oh, I did want to lift up, did you lift up the NACOL conference and that there were opportunities for 2 panelists?
Yes, yep,
Oh,
we
that
discussed
was just so
that.
awesome.
Yeah.
Oh, good.
Cool beans. Well, if that's it, y'all, thank you. I know this was a longer meeting today. Thank you all for being here. And we have a lot on our plates, so we'll be seeing each other soon. Thank you for your commitment. Thank you for your time. Have a good night and have a good weekend.
Thank you. Good
Bye, y'all.
night.